Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, it is April the 8th, 2026. It's a Wednesday night, 1800 hours on the East Coast of America. We're coming to you live from the swamplands of Florida, where it's pretty rainy right now. But we're going to, we need to select this stream. Select. Okay, that should work. Excellent. And we're going to talk about some of the news that's coming out. Of course, the news has been dominated by one dirty Diana Rossini. And allegedly, apparently, pretty obviously, allegedly, having an affair. Perhaps, allegedly, we don't know. It's been denied with head coach Mike Vrabel of your New England Patriots. So that's been dominating the news coverage the past 24 hours, as you know. We have been covering the misdeeds, the dirty journalism of one dirty Diana Rossini on this channel for a long time. And so it is that she's maybe getting found out. But we'll have to see how it all plays out. Right now, it's all allegedly and apparently and all of this. But as far as Jet news is concerned, the latest news is that several of the Nationals and the Casuals, in terms of Bert Breer and Todd McShay and Daniel Jeremiah, all in unison, it seems, are picking that, saying that the Jets are going to pick, in fact, David Bailey with the second overall pick in the draft. So we'll have to see if that's just smoke or what's going on there. But seems like they're all getting that information and putting it out right now. And maybe the Jets are creating a smokescreen because they actually want to make a trade. And so they want to create some confusion as to who they might pick. So we have that going on. In addition to that, we have the release of The Beast, which is Dane Brugler's draft guide. And probably the best draft guide out there, I would say. So we got that today. If you're an Inner Circle member, you have access to it. Look in the posts tab. It used to be called membership tab. They changed the names of these things. But get over there. You get access to it. Now, according to The Beast, we'll take a look right here. As you can see, the way Mr. Brugler has it broken down, Arvell Reese is number one in terms of an overall big board. So that makes sense to me. He's got Jeremiah Love, very lovely. Overall, number two. Then he's got Nando. Then he's got Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane, and Mr. David Bailey checking in at number 7. And then Fano Bain and Mr. Carnell Tate. So a lot of Buckeyes in that top 10. That's kind of amazing. You got a top 10 with 1, 2, 3, 4 dudes in the top 10. Ohio State had 40% of the top 10 players coming into the draft, according to Dane Brugler, and they didn't even win the Natty. Oh, that went to Mr. Nando Mendoza. Number trace overall, according to Mr. Dane Brugler. So very, very interesting times in Jetland. Smokescreen times and perhaps false flag times and all like that. So I thought we would do a live stream on a Wednesday, just a little bit different. We could do a mock draft because we also have something else new. We have the A to Z Sports NFL Mock Draft Simulator, and this is new. This puppy is new. So it's a new mock draft simulator, so I thought we could try it out. We'll have to see if we can get some people into the chat. After all, this is kind of a random Wednesday night. So maybe people didn't know that this was going to happen and they might not show up in the chat, and then it won't be that fun if no one's in the chat. By the way, if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello to old Frankie. Uh, but but I thought we could, if we get enough people, we could use this because it also has, interestingly enough, some AI applications and things. It has AI trade suggestions and AI. You could do AI to AI trades if you want, but I'm going to probably turn that off. Pick suggestions. So it has some AI elements to it that are kind of interesting, and I kind of like the AI trade suggestions as well. So if we do this, we could talk about some trades. It's looking like the Jets are at least trying to gin up some offers for the second overall pick by putting out some smoke about David Bailey, or maybe the Jets are going to pick Jeremiah Love. And so if you really love Tennessee, for example, maybe you want to give us a little trade. Get a little extra draft capital. We'll have to see about that. But that is something we could also do with our Wednesday night. And otherwise, we can see what the chat is interested in. But like I said, this is a Wednesday night. It's a lull time in the NFL. It may also be that people are just kind of waiting around for the draft. Now, let's just check something. Yeah. So, not much action going on in the chat. So, I just want to make sure that's working properly. Does appear to be so. So, if you can hear me in the chat, let me know. It's telling me there's 8 people in here, but I'm not seeing any chat. Let me check this settings. Yeah, well, Bialy's here. All right. We got Bialy, but I'm not seeing anybody else. So the chats are coming through. That's good. That's working. But otherwise, Bialy, let me know if you want to do. I mean, we're going to need some participants here other than Bialy. We need at least a few who want to do a mock draft or talk about something else. Perhaps the now the Nationals are the ones, like McShay and Albert Breer are the ones talking about the Jets pick at 2. The locals, Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblatt and Semini, they're not talking. Yeah, Hefe's here. She says we're comatose on the draft. No, it's because we've been looking forward to this draft for a long time because the season was so bad. This is what happens to Jet fans every year, a lot of the years. You get sick of the draft because you start talking about the draft in October. It's terrible. If we could just have a year where we try to kind of compete toward the end of the year. But otherwise, there's nothing really to keep up with. I don't know. I mean, we don't even know. I mean, the Jets are not even starting their offseason program until the 20th. So we can't even talk about, is Brees Hall going to show up? Is this one going to be here? Is that one going to be over there? We don't know. So we really don't know. But yeah, that's the life of a Jet fan. And so it's kind of weird. I thought we would go live because also the uh the regular videos, are not doing good either. So I'm thinking maybe people want to do live streams. I don't know. When you're a content creator, you got to mix it up if people aren't watching the videos. Lindell says, having fun reading about Mike and Diana. Yeah, Dirty Diana. I've been telling you guys about Diana Rossini for years now, and hopefully you've been listening. This is what I've been alluding to all this time. I didn't know exactly about Vrabel, but, it's been out there with her because apparently now all of this stuff is coming back up. The internet is forever, and people are remembering that there was a general manager of the Washington Redskins at the time who his wife accused Rossini of having an affair with her husband, and she did that publicly on Twitter at the time. And there was also rumors that Rossini was sleeping with Sean McVay back in the day, allegedly. Now, we don't know any of this, but these are whispers. These are people saying things in public about this lady, but who knows what's true, what's not true. But there's a lot of clips coming out where she's not exactly, head over heels in love with her husband. She's sort of taking backhanded slaps at him. That's not a good look when your wife is in public calling you average, saying that, saying all this stuff. Very weird. Very weird. Did you say there was Patriot news today? Yeah, Mike Vrabel. He's a Patriot. Allegedly having an affair with Diana Rossini of The Athletic, formerly of ESPN. And there's all sorts of pictures coming out of her time covering the Titans. Back then, when she was covering the Titans, the head coach for the Titans was Mike Vrabel. And there's all sorts of pictures coming out with maybe appropriate, maybe not, kind of weird stuff. And people are also remembering that it seemed like Rossini had all of the first information about A.J. Brown trades back in the day when the Titans traded him, and even nowadays where she is trying to kind of push narratives about Jalen Hurts to get Brown traded back to Vrabel. So you can see this is a person who's not an objective observer, right? This is not a journalist. As I keep telling you guys, some people are very good. Mary Kay Cabot, for example, excellent. Holly Rowe, excellent. But then there's other people like Zach the Hack Rosenblatt and this Diana Rossini, not so good. Dirty journalists who play unfairly. And now you're seeing how she's been doing it, allegedly, apparently. And it's not good. I mean, it's what it is, but it's kind of scuzzy and disgusting. Well, yeah, Dirty Diana has really three meanings. One, it's a triple meaning. If you follow rap music, they call it a triple or a triple entendre. So Dirty Diana's a song by Michael Jackson, one of his best songs. So you could listen to the lyrics to that song to get an idea of what she's all about. Number two, there's what we call dirty journalism, where you do journalism that the quotes from the people that you got the quotes from, they really said those things. And so it's not false, but you also leave out a lot of important context. And that is called dirty journalism. Used to be called yellow journalism back in the day. I call it dirty journalism. And then there's this aspect where, yes, there were rumors all through the years, unconfirmed, but now a lot of evidence seems to be piling up against Miss Rossini. She has denied it, so I guess innocent until proven guilty, but, it goes to show that if she was especially, one of the things, it definitely goes to show she's especially tight with Vrabel, for sure. And Vrabel's a Patriot, even when he was with the Titans, he's a Patriot legend. And so therefore, taking a dump all over the Jets kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? It's why you got to put these things into perspective as well. Like when Albert Breer comes out with information All right, he's a national, but he grew up in New England. He grew up a Patriot fan. So does that mean he's going to lie about the Jets and tell things that are untrue? No. But if he's going to shade things or give his opinions or put a non-contextual thing in there, it's going to be to the benefit of the Patriots and to the detriment to all the other AFC East teams because he grew up a Patriot fan. It's like if I suddenly became a national reporter, I'd probably shade things toward the Jets, I would think. Because it's just natural. And it's sort of the same thing with Todd McShithead. Now, Todd McShithead has been wrong about so much draft stuff, and yet he's considered a draft expert as opposed to Jane Brugler, who actually is. But Todd McShithead, his problem is he was a college teammate of Joe Douglas. So, from his point of view, the Jets did not treat his friend very well. And I would say that was a failure. Well, there's blame to go all around, for sure. But Joe Douglas didn't know how to manage up. When you're in a position like that, you have to manage up. And in his case, that meant managing Woody and Jaime to a certain extent. You have to understand, it's not easy. That's why you get paid a lot of money. These are executive people who make a lot of money. And part of making all that money is you need to manage people under you, equal to you, and above you, all of that. Not everybody has to do that, but when you're at that high level in life at any organization, that's what you got to do. And so now you're seeing so in other words, Todd McShay, aka Todd McShithead, has an axe to grind with the Jets. So and there's a big thing. The reason I'm talking about them today, they did a podcast. They're saying it's a fait accompli that, according to their sources, that the Jets are picking David Bailey. Now, maybe it is. I don't think so. And I think that would be a mistake, not because Bailey isn't a good player. He will be a good sackmeister, but he's only half a player. He's only good at that. He's terrible against the run. So I think with their biases, they may be hearing some things, but I think they're putting a spin on it to try and maybe push public opinion toward Bailey when it really should be toward Reese. And they don't want to see the best player in the draft go to the Jets. Now, why do I say he's the best player in the draft? Well, the Beast came out today. And here is the top 10. Who's number one? Arvell Reese. So we have a chance to grab the best player in the draft according to Dane Brugler, who's one of the best in the business. Whereas Todd McShay is one of the worst in the business. But McShay gets propped up a lot because he's represented by CAA. Never forget that. And then Love second, Doza third, Styles, Downs. And here's Bailey down here at 7. So if we wound up with David Bailey, it's not like we're getting a bum. He's going to be good at rushing the passer. That's what he does. And according to Brugler, he's the 7th best player in the draft and the 2nd best edge player. So, but to me, if you could get the best, what are we even talking about? So, and don't forget also that Breer is also an alumni of Ohio State. So as a Patriot fan who graduated and is an alumni and is a booster backer of the Ohio State Buckeyes, he doesn't want to see Arvell Reese, the best player in the draft who happens to be an Ohio State player, go to the Jets. He's a Patriot fan. He would prefer Reese go to the Cardinals or somebody that he doesn't have to deal with, right? So you always got to keep that in mind. Now, it also could be true that the Jets are closing in on Bailey, but it's a weird world we live in. Bryant is here. He says, hey, Bialy, dirty, dirty, dirty. Very dirty, Bialy. Very dirty. Oh, so dirty. It's disgusting. I feel bad for the wife of Rabel and the husband of Rossini, but, the husband of Rossini, I think he's going to go for Beta Cuck of the Year. I think he's going to win that award. Hefe, I don't make moral judgment about cheating, but I will about intelligence. Why are they dumb enough to vacation together when they both have spouses and children? Do it secretly. That's a fair point, but also she's a journalist of the thing he is a major player in. What about that aspect, Hefe? Like if this were just two normal people, all right, but she's supposed to be a journalist covering this guy and the rest of the league, and he's obviously a big personality in the league. He's a major person, and she's supposed to be covering him, and she's stooping him. I mean, that's not covering. I mean, that's one type of covering, I guess, but she's busy getting stooped. I mean, come on. Joe Douglas didn't treat the. Oh, I think he tried, Hefe. I actually think Joe Douglas tried. He made a mistake with Zach Wilson. We've been through this. That was the main thing. I mean, he built some good teams, and then he screwed up. But Zach Wilson never developed like he thought he would. That's a mistake. And then Aaron Rodgers blew out his Achilles that year. That was the year, 2023. We would have almost certainly made the playoffs. We had the team. God damn it. We had it. And then Mr. Achilles came along, and that was the end of it. So I think Joe Douglas tried. I think he just wasn't smart enough for the job. These days, you got to be a brilliant motherfucker to get these jobs. This isn't the old days where you could just be a Billy Bob from nowhere and just know about ball. This isn't about ball. You need to know ball, yeah, sure, but you need to know how to manage people. You need to know about data analytics. You need to know about AI. You need to know how to manage up, manage down, manage sideways. You need to be a people person and also a data person and also a scouting person. It's not easy, but I don't think Joe was up to the task. I think he tried very hard, and I don't think he was the right man for the job, unfortunately. These days, and maybe Muji is. Let's hope and pray Muji's got what it takes. But it's a hard ass job. And then you got to deal with the media and all this, and media and social media and expectations of the fans are totally different these days than they used to be because of social media and betting and, Madden and fantasy and all of this. This stuff didn't exist back in the day. None of it. So it's a totally different job than, say, even 10 years ago. And you need to be a special type of person. I think Joe was well-intentioned. He was a hard worker, but he just wasn't smart enough, and he just missed. He made a terrible choice with that Zach Wilson pick. Not that he picked Zach Wilson, but that he picked him at 2 when he could have made a trade back and done so many other great things, and he thought Zach Wilson was a superstar. That's what he thought. Made a mistake. I mean, if Zach Wilson had turned into Patrick Mahomes, which a lot of people were saying, by the way, important people, Tony Romo, I think McShay even compared him to Mahomes. So you want to know about McShithead, why I say that? He's been wrong about so much, especially quarterbacks, and yet he keeps getting propped up. It's kind of like Mina Kimes. These CAA people, they never go away because CAA will make sure they stay on top as their client. But I mean, imagine if Zach Wilson turned out to be anything like any kind of, I don't know, 75% as good as Mahomes, everything would have been fine. Everything Joe did would have been fine. Because we wouldn't have had to do the whole Aaron Rodgers saga and getting all the Green Bay people and making that trade. So we would have kept all our picks and all this. But he got that evaluation wrong. And then when he tried to course correct, Rodgers blew out his Achilles, and that was the end of that. So Lindell's JD had no sense of urgency. Yeah, I went through all that. I kind of disagree. But Lindell's loves Reese. Yeah, you should. Number 1 player in the draft. Good thing Muji and Glenn don't really care about public opinion and certainly don't care. Yeah, but you got to wonder. So the other thing that McShithead and Breer are saying is that they have sources in the building. Now, I'm not going to say they don't, because it does seem like these Nationals do have sources. And it is in the Jets' interest to feed information to these Nationals and casuals every so often. So they may have sources, indeed. But the question really comes back to, are these sources feeding them false information? Which would be my guess at this point in time. But we don't know. And hopefully that is the case. Hopefully they're feeding them false information. Because what would be great is, let's go right here. What would be great? What would be great is, let's say we really want Reese, but we want to put up a smokescreen that we may not. And so that introduces uncertainty. Maybe we want Love. Maybe we want Sunny Styles. Maybe we'd like, you know, Bailey. Where did Bailey go on this? Bailey's not even on here. Must not have met the threshold. But because then, if that's the case, maybe somebody wants to come up to 2, like the Titans say. And if they want to come up here and we go back here and we get a 3rd round pick this year and something next year or something like that, and then we get Reese anyway, then that's a masterstroke of brilliance. Let's hope that that's the case, that that's what we're trying to do here. And that, yes, we are feeding them information, but hopefully it's false information. And if we wound up with Bailey, it's not like we're getting a bum, but he's just not as good, in my opinion, as Reese, for example. Douglas rarely drafted well past pick 45. That left us with no depth. Yeah, that's true, but that's where it gets hard in the draft. Mooj is smooth. You can tell by his demeanor. Yeah. Jefe says, after being given 6 years not making the playoffs once, doesn't look good in the mirror and take responsibility for failing. Instead, he is an anonymous source for hit pieces. Great character. Well, we don't know that yeah, he probably did. I mean, he got disgruntled at the end. I think what really happened is Woody got pissed at him and Saleh because they said they blamed Now, I don't know how you factor in Rodgers' injury because I'm sure that we know that Woody was livid at them, and they basically blamed everything on Zach Wilson. And they said, well, Zach didn't work out. It's like, well, if you're Woody, you're like, yeah, but you guys picked him, dummies. But anyway, then they said, all right, well, if we trade him and if we can get Aaron Rodgers, that'll solve all our problems, which it may have done if he didn't get injured. So, but I think that ultimately Woody didn't trust them. Remember, Woody did not hire Saleh or Douglas. So those were Christopher hires. Woody was involved, but he was still in London, coming back from London. So I think he got pissed at them, and then he started not trusting them, and then he got involved, which made it worse. But then Douglas is not going to be happy about, here's the owner forcing a trade for Devontae Adams, and here's the owner saying, weird shit in the media, and, so I'm sure at the end he was very disgruntled and then maybe started leaking. You're right. But it was a bad situation. But he basically, Douglas had free reign for the first few years. He could have built it any way he wanted. He could have had any plan he wanted done. Woody was not getting involved. In fact, Woody wasn't even here. So, Douglas should look in the damn mirror and say, man, I really screwed that up. Now, maybe he couldn't manage up because Woody was in frickin' London and he was the ambassador to Great Britain and all. And so it was kind of hard. And then Christopher's kind of quiet, so who knows what the hell Christopher's doing. Maybe he's, in the shadows. I don't know what Christopher's doing on a daily basis, but maybe he had trouble with the fact that Woody wasn't even here. And Christopher was sort of maybe not in Jersey. Maybe Christopher was down here in Florida. Who knows where he was. And so maybe that was the problem. And then by the time Woody returned and started getting suspicious and then getting mad, you heard Woody say, I was as mad as I could be. That's one of the times. I think it was the year before he fired Saleh mid-season. That off-season, people were asking him, well, how are you tolerating all this losing and stuff like that? And Woody was like, I was as mad as I could be. Does anybody believe that? I don't know, but that's what he said. And I do kind of believe it. I think he did say to them, and I think he told them, you're on a short leash, buddy, especially Saleh, because I think he probably just didn't trust Saleh. And we all know Saleh's a politician. So those politicians are great when things are going good, but when things start to go sideways, some of the things they told you, start looking suspect. So then he did the stupid thing and he fired Saleh and he got Devontae and all this. But I think, you know, all that's true and that's over with. And so yeah, maybe Douglas is feeding Mick Shithead because that's his college teammate. But this draft should tell us a lot. Like if we don't pick Reese, if we make a trade back and we get a ton of stuff, and then we have to take Bailey at 7 or 6 or wherever we wind up. All right, because we're getting a bunch of stuff, and we're we're saying, all right, we're giving up Reese, but we're getting all this other stuff, and therefore we're gonna stack the roster this way, that way. Okay, I could see that. But if we just stick at 2 and take Bailey over Reese, I can't understand that. Not that I don't like Bailey, I do like Bailey. But Reese is a better player, according to pretty much everyone who knows what they're talking about. And that will then tell us a lot about this regime. Hopefully, the trend from the free agent period, where they've made a lot of smart moves, will continue and they have a really smart draft, and we can go, okay, this makes a lot of sense. All right. We love what they did. Whew. We got some smart adults in the building finally, and we're going to be okay, maybe. But if we don't, and it's a bunch of stupid stuff, and it's a bunch of Arian Smith and Kiko Maui-Goa and all this, then we're gonna have a problem. Gonna have a problem. Bruno says Joe Douglas was. Let's stop talking about Joe Douglas. I agree. So the question is, do you guys want to do? Are you in the mood for a mock draft? And the reason I say that, we started the show. Uh, Now there is a poll. Nobody's responding to the poll. That's odd. There is a poll in case you want to vote on something. But we started the show talking about maybe we'll do a mock draft. And one of the reasons is there's a new system for mocking, a new site. A to Z Sports has this NFL mock draft simulator. And it's kind of cool. And I want to kind of try it out. But the nice thing about it, it has these AI things. AI to AI trades, you could turn that on or off. AI pick suggestions, you could turn that on or off. And then AI trade suggestions, you could turn that on or off. And what we could do, which we don't normally do, is take a look at the trades that the AI would be proposing to us. Because the reality is, in this draft, if things go the way they could, where teams are wanting to trade with us, like let's say Tennessee wants to come up, we're going to, and let's say somebody wants to come up for pick 32, and so we get, or 33, I guess it is, and then we're going to we could get a massive haul for just those 2 picks. And then depending on what Tennessee's coming up for, like it's possible Tennessee gets nervous, we're going to take Love or Bain or Bailey. I don't know. Let's say they really want Bailey. Maybe we got word that Saleh fell in love with Bailey. Maybe that's why this is coming out now. So Muji wants to put out some smoke that, hey, the Jets love Bailey also. And Saleh's like, huh? What? Wait a minute. And maybe he wants to come up for Bailey at 2. And so they give us a bunch of stuff, and then Arizona picks Maui Noah, or, that would be the risk. They take Reese at 3, which they might. But then maybe we're okay at 4 taking, I don't know, Tate, or maybe Bain, or, something like that. But if we do entertain trades, we could wind up with a hell of a lot more capital. So let me know in the chat. We got 28 here now, according to my doc here thing. And let me know if you're in favor of using this new mock draft simulator from A to Z Sports and see how this thing works including trades, so we could kind of see uh, what that might look like from. And this is the AI making trade suggestions, so hopefully it knows what it's doing. But if not, we could just do chat. We could just chat on a Wednesday night. We could just hang out, chat. I don't know. It's up to you guys. But I just figured it's Wednesday night. People don't seem to be watching the videos. So maybe people maybe people want to do a live stream instead. Or maybe people are just really hungry for news and you know. So the Seattle Seahawks are putting out that Sam Darnold got married. So life is good for old Sam Darnold. He's no longer getting mononucleosis and no longer losing ball games. He's winning a lot of ball games. He's winning a Super Bowl, and now he's married to his wife. So they don't put her name here. So good for Sam Darnold. Gets a Super Bowl ring, then he gets a marriage ring. It's all working out now for Sammy Darnold. So good for Sammy. You like to see it. Doesn't appear to be. Now, the other thing is like the Jets beat reporters, the locals, are not putting out anything of note, really. And so it's just the Nationals that are pushing these news pieces. So we don't know if it's true. We don't know if it's not. But let me know in the chat if you guys want to do a mock draft, or maybe you're mock drafted out. It's too many mocks. We're mocked out, Frankie. We don't care about this thing you're trying to push on us. But let me know in the chat what your preference is. Otherwise, we could just chit chat about the world at large. Seems like Dirty Diana Rossini is living up to her nickname given to her by me, and and is conducting an affair with head coach Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots, allegedly, apparently, as is being reported by the New York Post. That seems to be the talk of the sports world today. Very little news coming out of the NFL. Kirk Cousins officially signed and met with the media today. Had some things to say about Fernando and so forth and so on. One thing that's interesting that Jordan Schultz put out today, the Schultz Report, an hour ago, says it's developing. Jordan Schultz, quote, the expectation among many NFL teams is that the 2026 draft will be one of the more trade-heavy drafts in recent memory, according to multiple league sources. Of course, that means not much. Specifically on the defensive side of the ball, edge, cornerback, and linebacker are all strong/deep, while wide receiver is typically considered to be the most talented offensive position. Several executives I've spoken with believe we're likely to see a flurry of activity in the first half of round one. Whoa. Additionally, because this specific draft lacks depth in the later rounds, many teams plan to pursue extra day 2 and early day 3 picks per league sources. So that could position us well. That could position us pretty well. Because one of the things we could do is we could use our 7th round picks, if we hold on to them, for kicker, for blocking tight end, for little things like that where it's okay, it's not a talent, it's not a guy that's sought after, but it's something you need on your roster, something like that. Maybe the best fullback in the draft or something, but also if teams are wanting to accumulate picks, maybe then we move up from 16 for something we really want. Like if Tate slides and is sitting there at 10, maybe we can move up to get to the Bengals pick and take him there. And they figure, well, we'll get a good defensive player at 16 plus other things. They need to stock their defensive roster. Maybe we uh, do that. Uh, okay, so now, so says, I vote lemon. Mr. Bruno says, AI sucks. I tried using AI for draft projections. Bruno says, I would trade 16, not 2. The drop up after Reefs is considerable. I know I shouldn't let any draft stuff bother me, but so tired of fans wanting to take O-line early in the draft. We signed Parham to start, can upgrade center later. Why are Jet fans obsessed? OL. Well, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, the way I see it, the line is good enough, and we have so many other needs. We got to get this defense. I mean, think about it this way. I just had this thought the other hour. The one probably surefire way that Aaron Glenn gets fired is if the defense sucks again. If the defense is terrible, Glenn's out of here, almost certainly. But because if the offense sucks, you can just conveniently blame Geno. Be like, well, we thought we thought we were going to get the Seattle Geno, we got the Vegas Geno, and that was a problem. But don't worry, Woody, because we got 3 first-round picks in the first round in 27. So so we'll get our quarterback then, and that'll solve our problem. So if the offense sucks, you can just blame Geno Smith. But the defense, and probably Woody will go, oh yeah, that makes sense. We'll get Arch Manning, right? Oh yes, Arch Manning. Mm-hmm. And you can get him excited about Arch Manning, and that'll solve our problems. And maybe it will, and maybe it won't. But you could at least sell Woody on that and keep your job. But if the defense sucks, AG got a problem. Because if the defense sucks, then Woody might go, well, wait a minute. I have on my staff an experienced head coach on the offensive side of the ball. His name is Frank Reich. And therefore, I'll just pay him a little extra. Maybe he'll take the job of head coach. We'll get rid of Glenn, and then he'll tell me he'll get whoever he wants to be the DC. Maybe they bring back Wink Martindale or something, and then and then they go that way. They go, all right, we'll give the job to Reich, and then this is all Glenn's fault, and let Frank Reich get his young quarterback in the draft, and away we go. But all that would be very bad for Aaron Glenn. So Glenn pretty much has to make sure that we improve significantly on defense. Now, we're probably not going to have a top 10 or anything like that, but can we get in the 16 to 18 range? In terms of DVOA and points. So that way Glenn could say, look how much we improved. We were 32nd last year. Very, very bad. And now we're, 18th or whatever we are. And he could say, yeah, and don't worry, we got these 3 first-round picks. We're going to go get our quarterback, and everything's going to be beautiful in Jetland. But if the defense is horrible and everybody's running again, which is again why one of the reasons I don't think we're taking Bailey, because if we can't stop the run and we got Will McDonald out there and David Bailey, and both of them are lighting the loafers, if you know what I'm saying, and they can't stand up against a run, Deion Dawkins is throwing them around like a rag doll. Get out of here with your skinny, stick legs. And they're just running the ball down our throat and running it. That's going to make Glenn look horrible. I don't know why he would want that. Sure, maybe they get a sack or 2 at the end of the game when nobody cares and the backup quarterback's in because it's 40-3. But the point of the matter is, if you have those 2 guys, we're going to get run on like nobody's business, and that's not going to look good. So, um, that being the case, I just don't see him wasting one of his premium picks on a offensive line that we're already pretty happy with. Sure, we could if we could find somebody, if somebody's sitting there in round 4 or 5 as a center that we like that could compete with Josh Myers, fine. But I think the way they look at it is Parham is a slight upgrade over Simpson, and we already had a top 10 running uh, offense last year with no quarterback, which is hard to do. And the O line played pretty well, not elite or anything, but Parham improves it a little bit over Simpson, and then you hope that the young fellas all improve a little bit, and then we have a top 15, 10 line, something like that, with the group they have and then you spend your premium draft capital all on defense and wide receiver also. Basically, that's the way I see it. And then you have to think about where do they value Ty Simpson. If he's sitting there at 33, that's going to be an interesting call. Net Warrior says, how about Tate at 2 and Falk at 16? Yeah, Falk is, Keldrick Falk is, let's go and look. I forget where he's one of the top people, center edge rushers. Yeah, he's the 4th edge rusher, according to Brugler. So it's Reese, Bailey, Bain, Falk. So we could do that, but the problem there is that you're inverting. You have to know how much better Reese is than everybody else as an edge player, and how much better Tate is than everybody else as a wide receiver. And you have to have a grade to know that. So if you had Tate as an 8, say, in your grading system, and everybody else is a 6, then you'd go, holy shit, we got to get Tate because he's the only thing sitting here that's worth taking this high. And if you had Reese as an 8 and Bailey as a 7.9 and Bain as a 7.8 and Falk as a 7.6, you would say, well, if we get any one of those, it's great. So that's probably not going to happen, though, because these wide receivers are considered clustered together. And so while Tate is generally considered the best, these other guys are also very good. And so you probably, since you all have them in a bucket, and again, I keep telling you guys about buckets, not players, because that's how the teams do it. You don't just pick a player out. You have to put them in buckets and say, how close together are they? In the same bucket or are they in a different bucket? That's what you got to do. And so it depends on the grades and who you have in what bucket and what makes sense. But generally speaking, the wide receivers go Tate, Lemon, Tyson. I personally would have Tyson off my board because of the medicals, but that's just me. Then Concepcion, Cooper, Boston. Those are the top 6 here. And I would say that's a bucket. Again, I would have Tyson off. So that's 5 in a bucket that you'd have. So that's why you wouldn't, even though you'd prefer Tate because he's the best one, but you'd probably have Tate, Lemon, Concepcion, Cooper, Boston in your bucket. That meaning the first round bucket. Meaning we want one of these guys. We got to have one. And Muji better be thinking this way. We got to have one of these MFers. One of these 6 dudes got to be coming to us in the first round. And sitting there at 16, you're almost certainly going to get one of these dudes. We had the scare tactic a few weeks ago where we said, what if all these guys are gone? Well, then your defense gets even more bulked up, and that's not a great scenario, but the likelihood is that one of these 5 is going to be here, and they may not have Tyson off their board. We don't know about the medical side of things. So if they think Tyson's just fine, I don't, but I'm not a doctor. If they think Jordan Tyson's just fine and they like any one of these 6, then that's even better. Then you just sit at 16 and take one of these guys and then you just take reset 2, and you go to bed at night on Thursday night, and you go, whew, boy, that's good. We got what we needed. If we come away day one with Arvell plus one of these dudes, again, Tate, Lemon, I'll just bring this up. It's right here on the screen. Here's how Brugler has it, and pretty much anybody who knows what they're talking about has it like this. It's Tate, Lemon, and it doesn't have to be in this order, but this is the bucket right here. Tate, Lemon, Tyson, Concepcion, Cooper, Boston. You got to get one of these guys. And so, we go to we get reset 2, and then one of these guys falls to us. It's probably in some kind of order like this, actually, where if they're all available, you take Tate. If Tate's gone and the rest, then you take Lemon. If Tate and Lemon are gone, then you take Tyson if he's still on your board with medical concern. If the Jets don't worry about the medical, then you take Tyson. If all 3 of those are gone, then you go ahead and take Concepcion. If all 4, so forth and so on. It's probably very similar. They might have Cooper a little ahead of Concepcion. They might have, but it's probably these 6. And that's why we need to think in terms of buckets and not so much individualized players. What's weird is this slider gets stuck sometimes. And then I got to go over here. And then if I go here, does this unstick it? Tyson is risky. Yeah, that's what I think. That is what I think. All right. Well, I guess folks are just mocked out. So, last call for comments, questions on a Wednesday. Hang. Let me know. By the way, the top 5 quarterbacks here this is kind of interesting. So I wouldn't have Nussmeier here, but Nando, Simpson, Nuss, Aller, and Peyton. Remember, I told you there's 4 guys who could be franchise quarterbacks. And surprisingly, Cole Payton, Cole Payton's the one people probably didn't know as much about. And now he's all the way up to 5 in the Brugler book. So you can be sure some industry folks who maybe had Payton as a 6th rounder, 5th rounder, something, you're not getting Cole Payton in the 6th round. Not after Brugler ranks him 5th. Now, Nussmeier, I think he's more of a backup, his career backup type. I don't think he has franchise quarterback talent. I do think he'll be in the league and he'll be a backup. But Aller and Peyton, they have to develop, but they have the tools and the skill sets to be potential franchise quarterbacks. I do think Nuss and Beck, they're probably going to be in the league as backups. So that's valuable. But I think the other 4, Nando, Ty, Drew, and Cole, have the skill sets to potentially develop. So it's kind of interesting to see Cole Payton all the way up to number 5 on the Brugler list, which is kind of interesting because nobody knew about him, when the season started. Hi, Karate's here. You're a little late, Karate. All right, so last call for questions, comments on a Wednesday night, kind of, off the cuff. Kind of just decided to do it. We don't always do a Wednesday night live, but sometimes. So let me know if you got any other questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, we'll call it an evening. Right now, there seems to be no news coming out in the football world. I think everybody It's pretty much waiting on this draft to come along. All right, Bialy's out of here. Later, Bialy. All right, no other questions or comments. Well, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Consider joining the Inner Circle. $2 a month. You could chat with people like Bialy. He's an Inner Circle member and get all sorts of extra information, extra emojis, extra stuff. Just click the join button down below. $2 a month gets you in there. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel. Subscriptions are free. Doesn't ask you to sign up for anything. Doesn't ask for your email. Just click the subscribe button down below. Otherwise, give the video a thumbs up. That really does help the channel. And I'll see you guys. Oh, wait. We got a question. Stay Woke says, do you think we better get wide receiver at 2? Well, we already been through this. No, you're going to put people in a bucket. So I'll go over this one more time. Do, since we got a question on it. So here's the wide receivers. Pretty much everyone in the world is going to have them ranked as such. We're sitting at 16. We're going to have these 6 players probably in the bucket. So in the first round bucket, meaning if we come away with one of these guys, we're very happy. Now, we might take Tyson out the bucket simply because of injury, not because of talent. So that's going to be a question mark. Do we have Tyson in the bucket or not? But these 6 guys are in the bucket almost certainly. Now, I don't know what the Jets thinking. This is not sourced, but almost certainly we're going to have 6 guys in the bucket: Tate, Lemon, Tyson, Concepcion, Cooper, Boston, with the potential removal of Tyson due to injury history. So that being the case, it's extremely unlikely that one of these 6 does not fall to us at 16, and probably multiple will. Because Mendoza's going 1, we're going to take a defensive player, it looks like, at 2. So it's really just 3 through 15 we have to worry about. So what is that, 12 picks? So to think that out of those 12 picks, half of them are going to be wide receivers is not really likely. Now, could it happen? Sure. That would be bad. But then somebody good has slid down. Because Sonny Styles, don't forget, you have the Cardinals are unlikely to take a wide receiver because they have Marv and Michael Wilson. They really don't need to waste that high of a pick on a wide receiver. The Titans could, but they have Saleh there. They're going to take a defensive player or Love. Then you got Sonny Styles. Somebody going to let Sonny Styles slip out of the top 5? Now, the Browns probably are going to take Tate, or the best available wide receiver here. So, I mean, Kansas City doesn't need really a wide receiver. The Saints have Olave. They could, but they also need defense. So these teams need defense. The Bengals are certainly not going for a wide receiver, right? There's no way in hell. And there's no way in hell that the Cowboys are going for a wide receiver. The Dolphins could. They need offensive and defensive line. The Rams could, but they kind of need an offensive lineman. And then the Ravens are not going to go. And then the Buccaneers are not going to go for a wide receiver. So with all of that said, one of these 6 guys is almost certainly going to fall to us at 16. So you probably just sit there, take the best player in the whole damn draft, according to Brugler. This is the beast that we're using here. The top 10 overall, according to Brugler, Arvell is number 1. So why don't we just take the best player in the whole wide world, in the whole wide draft, at 2, and then one of the wide receivers will fall to us. And if they don't, that means one of these guys fell to. Maybe did Sonny Styles fall? Caleb Downs? We could use those guys. Mansour Delane? Imagine we got Reese and Bailey because Bailey fell. That'd be interesting. Or Bain or something like that. So if the worst case scenario happens, then hey, is it great? No, but it means somebody fell to us that was not expected, and we got somebody awesome that we didn't think we'd have access to. And then pick 33 for damn sure is going to be a wide receiver. And we might even try to trade back into the first round to get, get the next best guy. So that's the way I would put that. Bruno says, thank you. Bialy says, inner circle is a good gig. Well, let's put the expectations a little lower. Stay woke. I mean, Lawrence Taylor's like maybe the best linebacker of all time. it's either him or Ray Lewis. So let's have the expectations a little lower, please. If he's a minor league Micah Parsons, that'd be wonderful. Put it that way. All right. So that being said, I'll see everybody Friday night. We'll have a Friday night. So let's think about what fun activities we could do on Friday night. Shouldn't you be doing that, Frankie? Yeah. Maybe I thought you guys would want to do a mock draft, but I guess you don't. So, all right. So I'll see you on Friday night.